5 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Today is Wednesday, July 16, 2025, and I'm Shaman Dia presenting. In the headline, Solidarity and Trust for a New Day and several civil society organizations commence activities of much publicized enough protest. One police of brutality against protesters. Government of Liberia launches 2026 budget preparation process for enhanced coordination and adherence. Finance Minister Augustine Gafuan says fiscal year 2026 draft budget will be submitted to the national legislature before end of October. And also in the news include Palestinian citizens. Voices of the elders urge Liberians to promote patriotism and maintain decent equality ahead of July 17 protest. Away from home, Nigeria's former President Muhammadu Buhari has been buried at his home in northern Nigeria 2 days after his death at the age of 82 at the clinic in London. An investigation by medical charity Medicine Sans Frontieres into the execution of three of its workers during a humanitarian mission in Ethiopia's War Aid Northern region or Tigray region has found evidence that the country's army was responsible for the killings 4 years ago. These plus the news bulletin, voices of those making the news at our package. We'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back at this juncture. We join Stephen Compton with the news bulletin.
The Solidarity and Trust for a New Day and several other civil society organizations have commenced activities leading to the much publicized mass July 17 protest in Morovia. Sten Lee, campaigner of the Enough is Enough protest, along with its co-organizers, has accused the government of rampant corruption, poor governance, witch hunt of opposition politicians, among others. Addressing the major press conference Tuesday, State National Chairman Moba Molu accused the Boakai Kun government of downplaying the improvement of significant sectors, including health, education, among others. Maulud further called on Liberians from different walks of life to join the action and put stop to the government's alleged abuse of power and misuse of national resources. He further warned governmental operative against inciting violence as a means of painting a wrong image of protesters, noting that the organizer of the July 17 protest will ensure that the protest is peaceful. The stand national chairman and lead organizer of the mass protest at the same time rallied the support of Liberians, including victims of police brutality, motorcyclists, government workers illegally remote from work, among many others, to join the protest, a means of calling the government to check. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, Tuesday officially launched the fiscal year 2026 budget preparation process at the Ellen Johnson Ministerial Complex in Congo Town. It reminds of the launched Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gafuan called for enhanced coordination and adherence to timelines in the national budgeting cycle. Minister Gafuan emphasized the government's commitment to fiscal discipline and timely passage of the national budget, noting that the ministry will submit the fiscal year 2026 draft budget to the legislature before the end of October 2025. He acknowledged the challenges encountered during the first and second quarters of the previous fiscal year, particularly regarding revenue projection, highlighting that despite the initial setback, the country ended fiscal year 2025 on a strong fiscal note. The finance minister revealed that the country recorded a budget surplus for fiscal year 2025, something he attributed to improved efficiency in revenue collection and expenditure management. Minister Gafwan further urged all institutions to continue working in alignment with the ministry's schedule and guidelines to ensure timely submission and robust fiscal planning, adding that it will ensure that national development goals are effectively funded and implemented. The fiscal year 2026 budget launched sets the tone for months of technical consultations, stakeholders engagement, and revenue forecasting, with the ministry promising transparency and accountability throughout the process. A group under the banner Voices of the Elders has cautioned Liberians ahead of the July 17 protest to act in the spirit of patriotism to maintain the peace and tranquility of the country. Reading the group press statement in Monrovia on Tuesday, Mary Lauren Brown, a member of the organization, said while it is true that the citizens have the right to assemble peacefully, it is also necessary to preserve the peace of the country. She emphasized that Liberia has come a long way in maintaining peace and stability. As such, it is a shared responsibility of every citizen to sustain the country's peace. In at the same time, former Education Minister Dr. Evelyn Kandakar stressed the need for peaceful coexisting, emphasizing the need for citizens to demonstrate patriotism and during and after the July 17 enough is enough protest. The ECOWAS Code of Justice in Abuja has dismissed a high-profile human rights case filed involving Guinea national Ibrahim Sharif. In 2024, Ibrahim Sharif fled to Liberia to seek refuge after being accused of plotting a coup to overthrow the Guinean junta, but was later arrested and jailed at the Monrovia Central Prison by authorities of the Liberia government, where he reportedly went missing overnight. The legal team of Sharif had since alleged the authority of Guinea and Liberia of conspiring and illegal arrest, torture, arbitrary detention on an inhuman condition, and forced imprisonment. Ibrahim Sharif alleged was apprehended on charges including insur- missionary activities and criminal conspiracy. A ruling delivered by the ECOWAS court last week acknowledged its jurisdiction to hear human rights cases involving ECOWAS member states, but declared that the application by Sharif was precisely citing a lack of legal standing on the part of the applicant. It is believed that the court did not fully examine the actual merit of the alleged violation, but rather found the applicant was not properly positioned to bring the case. Following the dismissal of the high-profile human rights case, officials and supporters of the Liberian government have begun celebrating what they termed as exoneration of the government from fabricated lies. Deputy Information Minister Daniel Sano, who spoke at Mika press briefing Tuesday, said the court's action affirmed the government's commitment to upholding the rule of law. University of Liberia campus-based Student Unification Party has strongly condemned a viral social media video that shows state security officers conducting military-style drills and chanting slogans ahead of the planned July 17 protest. SUP, in a statement issued Tuesday, described the action of the security forces a means of intimidating and putting on behavior that can compare to rebel groups. The student group propaganda chairman Pauline Young said such action can compare to the National Patriotic Front of Liberia and the Movement for Democracy in Liberia, both of which played violent role during the Liberia's civil conflict. According to him, the display and slogan chanted by state security officers sent a dangerous message across Liberia with an already tense political environment and increased police brutality. He also criticized Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman, accusing the police chief of being incompetent and failing to maintain neutrality and discipline with their force, especially during political sensitivity period. Soup at the same time claimed that such display could further escalate public fear and disrupt in the country's security institution as citizens prepare for peaceful demonstration on July 17. And the Civil Servants Association of Liberia has disassociated itself from the July 17 protest organized by the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day in Monrovia. CSA President Moba Johnson said the association is an organized body established purposely to seek the interest of public sector workers, but not to engage in politics. He pointed out that the National Executive Committee of the association has not been informed of any protest and as such cannot join demonstration that is not to their knowledge. The CSA president is therefore encouraging civil servants not to form part of any protest, such one planned by the 4 July 17 Bastien made the comment during a press conference in Monrovia on Tuesday. The news bulletin is back to you, dear Sherman.
Stephen, content with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's News Broom. A reminder you listen to King's News Broom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Service following this afternoon, Solidarity and Trust for a New Day and several civil society organizations commence activities of much publicized enough is enough protest on police or brutality against protesters. Government of Liberia launches 2026 budget preparation process for enhanced coordination and adherence. Finance Minister Augustine Gafwan says fiscal year 2026 draft budget will be submitted to the national legislature before end of October. A group of senior citizens, voices of the elders, urged Liberians to promote patriotism and maintain peace and tranquility ahead of the July 17 protest. Away from home, Nigeria's former President Muhammad Buhari has been buried at his home in northern Nigeria 2 days after his death at the age of 82 at the clinic in London. We take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The Solidarity and Trust for a New Day and several other civil society organizations have commenced activities leading to the much publicized July 17 mass protest in Monrovia. Stan Lee, organizer of the Enough is Enough protest, along with several of its co-organizers, has accused the government of rampant corruption, poor governance, witch hunt of opposition politicians, among many others. Addressing a major press conference Tuesday, Stan National Chairman Moba Molu accused the Boakakon government of downplaying the improvement of significant sectors, including health, education, among others. We'll bring you that except in our subsequent newscast. To this development, the government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, Tuesday officially launched the fiscal year 2026 budget preparation process at the Eden Johnson Silly Ministerial Complex. In remarks at the launch, Finance Minister Augustine Gaffon called for enhanced coordination and adherence to timelines in the national budgeting cycle. Minister Gaffan emphasized the government's commitment to fiscal discipline and timely passage of the national budget, noting that the ministry will submit the fiscal 2026 draft budget to the legislature before the end of October 2025. We sincerely apologize. Again, we'll bring you that except in our subsequent newscasts. The Civil Servants Association of Liberia has disassociated itself from the July 17 protest organized by the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day in Monrovia. CSAL President Morby Johnson said the association is an organized organization established purposely to seek the interests of public sector workers, not to engage in politics. He pointed out that the National Executive Committee of the association has not been informed of any protest and as such cannot join the demonstration that it has no knowledge of.
The Civil Servant Association of Liberia wishes to categorically disassociate itself and all civil servants, including employees of public service institutions and autonomous agencies under the government of Liberia, from the protest action reportedly scheduled for July 15 to 17, 2025. The Civil Servant Association of Liberia emphasizes that at no time was the association consulted regarding this protest, nor has it been adequately informed about the potential impact such an action could have on civil servants, their families, and the broader national interest. Our decision to remain uninvolved is based on our commitment to safeguarding the livelihoods of our members and promoting stability within the Republic. While we fully acknowledge and uphold the constitutional right to peaceful assembly as enshrined in Article 17 of the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, we stress that civil servants are non-political actors. Our mandate is to deliver uninterrupted public service consistent with the laws of Liberia and international labor protocols to which the country is a signatory. The Civil Servant Association of Liberia remains focused on the professional and impartial delivery of public services to all Liberians, ensuring continued workplace stability across ministries, agencies, and commissions, advocating for workers' rights and welfare through constructive dialogue with government authorities and stakeholders, and pursuing lawful and recognized mechanisms, including international labor campaigns and legal channels to address labor-related concerns.
Voice of the president of the Civil Servants Association of Liberia, Marba Johnson. The speaking back to this development, the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day and several other civil society organizations have commenced activities leading to the much publicized March July 17 protest in Monrovia. Stan, lead organizer of the Enough is Enough protest, along with its co-organizers, has accused the government of rampant corruption, poor governance, witch hunt of public or opposition politicians, among many others. Addressing a major press conference Tuesday, Stern National Chairman Moba Molu accused the Bwaka Ikon government of downplaying the improvement of significant sectors, including health, education, among others.
The police weaponized with criminals in blue now, killing civilians, killing backgrounders, beating market women. 2 years from now, you will appoint commissioner at elections commission that will be your partisans or your sympathizers. You have appointed an Ibanian recommended by Kun to be Chief Justice because you want to ensure that next election will be a coronation, not an election. That will not happen. No way. That will not happen. That's why those that have stake in this process must come out and stop Bwaka before you stop our democracy. You must stop Joseph Boakai before he stops our democracy and bury it deep down 6 feet. It's time to stand for the abuse of the rule of law, the police brutality. It's time. So we say, enough is enough. So everything is on course. And we are grateful to Liberians in Europe, in the United States, on the ground, grassroots in every county, in the various districts. We are grateful for the CDC you lead that endorsed this process, while others are playing hanky-panky and choosing convenient alternatives. They chose to stand with the people because this is a people's fight, not my fight. It is the people's fight. So we say thanks to the youth league. We say thanks to student-based groupings that endorse this process. Thank you. To civil society organizations that have endorsed this process, we say thank you. To religious institutions that have endorsed this process. To major stakeholders that have either overtly or quietly endorsed this process, we say thank you. Those giving their support, we say thank you. You are driving a people's-based revolutionary advocacy process to a logical conclusion. So, we are ready for July the 17th. We are ready. July 17th will be the mother of our protest. Liberians, it will be peaceful. It will be non-violent. We are not violent countries. And we will never allow ourselves to be used as apostles of violence. We will always be peaceful because we love this country. Liberia is the only place to go home. Watch out for those that are violent.
Voice of Stan, National Chairman and lead organizer of the Enough is Enough protest, Moba Molude, during a press conference on Tuesday. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, Tuesday officially launched the fiscal year 2026 budget preparation process at the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex in Congo Town. In remarks at the launch, Finance Minister Augustin Gaffouin called for enhanced coordination and adherence to timelines in the national budgeting cycle. Minister Gaffouin emphasized the government's commitment to fiscal discipline and timely passage of the national budget, noting that the ministry will submit the fiscal year 2026 draft budget to the legislature before the end of October 2025.
It's a good day, and let me say thanks first to the Ways and Means Committee for coming to join us. This is an evidence of coordination. We know everything entails at the legislation, but in the spirit of coordination, it's good for us to be operating in sync so that you know what is happening. We intend to continue on the path we started last year. That is to ensure that the budget is passed before the start of the fiscal year. Last year was an historic feat because it was the first time in a long time that we had the budget being passed before the start of the fiscal year. This year, we intend to meet all the timelines. By law, the budget is to be tabled at the legislature not later than the 31st of October. Honorable Speaker and representing the legislature, I need to tell you that we in the executive intend to meet that deadline. Last year, we practically went together until we have to wait for the eagerness for 2 weeks, but we're done. So this year, we intend to meet the deadline. Last year started with some difficulties. The first quarter, second quarter, in terms of revenue, underperformed projection, but we doubled up, and by the end of the year, we surpassed the projection. Budget ended with a little surplus last year, 2024. And for that, let me congratulate all my sons, including the Commissioner General of the Federal Revenue Authority, his team, and all others in the executive, the legislature, that effort to make sure that we raise the revenue projected and even surpass it a little. So last year, we had a budget surplus. And last year, too, in terms of domestic revenue, we raised nearly 700 million. That was the highest ever in domestic revenue raised.
Finance Minister Augustine Gaffra there speaking. A group under the banner Voices of the Elders has cautioned Liberians ahead of the July 17 protest to act in the spirit of patriotism to maintain the peace and tranquility of the country. Within the group mass a press statement in Monrovia on Tuesday, Mary Lauren Brown, a member of the organization, said while it is true that the citizens have a right to peacefully assemble, it is also necessary to preserve the peace of the country.
The Voices of the Elders, Republic of Liberia, recognizes the citizens' right to peaceful assembly for whatever reasons deemed necessary. The Voices of the Elders also recognizes the obligation of the police to maintain law and order and to protect the lives and properties of the citizenry. However, Vote, the Voices of the Elders, also notes with great concern that protest marches have the propensity to degenerate into violent, riotous behaviors, the result of which is loss of properties of people such as marketers struggling to make a living or of commercial entities providing jobs for Liberians. Therefore, Vote joins its voice to the voices of former Associate Justice Gladys Johnson.
At the same time, former Education Minister Dr. Evelyn Kanaka stressed the need for peaceful coexistence, emphasizing the need for citizens to demonstrate patriotism and nationalism during and after the July 17 enough protest.
We recognize the importance of citizens expressing their rights. At the same time, a greater calling for all Liberians is maintenance of the peace. The Voices of the Elders has a program on the Liberian broadcasting system known as This I Remember. So if you listen to This I Remember at 6 o'clock every other Saturday, I think it is, you will hear us. Right now we are on a theme to maintain the peace and to preserve the patriotism, the rather they preserve the peace and patriotism in our country. So our concern is that while we're exercising our rights, we should remember that there's a greater calling for all Liberians, which is to maintain the peace. I wanted to join all those who cater to such a view and who would like to see Liberia prosper on this note. Thank you very much.
Former Education Minister Dr. Evelyn Kanaikai. A reminder you listen to King's News Boom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories following this afternoon Solidarity and Trust for a new day and several civil society organizations commence activities of much publicized Enough is Enough protest, warned police of brutality against protesters. Government of Liberia launches 2026 budget preparation process for enhanced coordination and adherence. Finance Minister Augustine Kafwan said fiscal year 2026 draft budget will be submitted to the National Legislature before end of October. A group of senior citizens voices of the endless part of Liberians to promote patriotism and maintain peace and tranquility ahead of the July 17th protest. Away from home, Nigeria's former president Muhammadu Buhari has been buried at his home in northern Nigeria 2 days after his death at the age of 52 at the clinic in London. We take a break to continue more voices, including our foreign news. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The ECOWAS Code of Justice in Abuja has dismissed a high-profile human rights case filed or involving Guinean national Ibrahim Kali Sharif. In 2024, Ibrahim Sharif fled to Liberia to seek refuge after being accused of plotting the coup to overthrow the Guinean junta, but was later arrested and jailed at the Monrovia Central Prison by authorities of the Liberian government, where he reportedly went missing overnight. The legal team of Sharif has since alleged authorities of Guinea and Liberia of conspiring illegal arrest, torture, arbitrary detention on inhumane conditions, and forced imprisonment. Following the dismissal of the high-profile human rights case, officials and supporters of the Liberian government have begun celebrating what they term as exoneration of the government from fabricated lies. Deputy Information Minister Daniel Sander, who spoke at MICAT press briefing Tuesday, said the code action affirmed the Liberian government commitment to upholding the rule of law.
The ECOWAS Court dismissed that case, a case for file on ground of enforced disappearance. So the case of enforced disappearance suit against the government of Liberia has been dismissed by the ECOWAS Court. The ECOWAS Court of Justice in Abuja has dismissed this case filed by Ibrahim Khalid Sharif, a Guinean national, who accused the government of Liberia and Guinea of subjecting him to enforced disappearance and other serious human rights violations. In a ruling delivered by the court, the court declared that the application is inadmissible due to what I call lack of standing, even as the court reaffirmed its jurisdiction to hear human rights cases against member states. A panel of justice led by Sengu Mohammed Koroma and with Gabriel Ouattara and Edward Amoko Asante as members. Mr. Sharif Royal Spain, he was born in Liberia, was raised in Guinea, and alleged that both countries colluded in his unlawful, quote unquote, arrest and detention over accusations of armed insurrection, mercenary activities, and criminal conspiracy. The suit also claimed Mr. Sharif was tortured, arbitrarily detained under inhumane conditions, and forcibly imprisoned.
Deputy Information Minister Daniel Sando. University of Liberia campus-based Student Unification Party has strongly condemned a viral social media video that shows state security officers conducting military-style drills and chanting slogans ahead of the planned July 17 protest. So, in a statement issued Tuesday, they described the actions of the security force as means of intimidating and putting on a behavior that can be compared to a rebel group. The student group propaganda chair, Polly Yan, says such action can be compared to the National Patriotic Front of Liberia and the Movement for Democracy in Liberia, both of which played violent roles during the Liberia's Civil War.
To remind Liberians of international community, those individuals who sweat and blood spill on their soil to protect democracy and peace, that today, under the leadership of Mr. Boyka and his inept Inspector General of Police, is projecting a war-torn image. Liberians woke up this morning with a disturbing, ruthless violence posture displayed by the Liberia National Police on the guards of causing intimidation. The posture for today and the image for today that was displayed by the police is sending out a signal that the government of Joseph Boyka, under the leadership of the RG police, is now committed to protect protesters or individuals that have dissenting opinions to the proceeding of the government. Let us say this: it is everyone's constitutional right. Protest is not a negotiable commodity. Protest is not a privilege. Protest is a right. And when Mr. Boyka was elected to defend the constitution of this country, he was elected to protect the right of those people that would disagree with him. Not everyone that went to the ballot voted for Mr. Boyka. Some raised dissenting opinions on the view that he was not going to provide credible leadership. These individuals have been proven right today. Mr. Boyka is not doing that. In a much question the sincerity of the organizer of the protest, in a much we believe that Mr. Mongo Molu doesn't have the spark, the energy, the ability to communicate, to inform, and to lead the masses of the people to total liberation. We believe it is predicated enough and it is necessary and dignifying that the government of Joseph Boyka protects the
Student Unification Party propaganda chairman Paul Eyan, they're speaking. Away from home, Nigeria's former President Muhammadu Buhari has been buried at his home in northern Nigeria 2 days after his death at the age of 82 at a clinic in London. His body was flown back to the country early on Tuesday, and his predecessor Bola Tinubu was at the airport in Katsina State to receive the remains. It was then taken to Buhari's hometown of Dora, where with hundreds attending Islamic funeral prayers were held at the central mosque. His body was found entombed in a grave dug in the grounds of his home with dignitaries including Tinubu, Guinea-Bissau president, and Buhari's vice president present. And an investigation by medical charity Medicine Sans Frontiers into the execution of 3 of its workers during the humanitarian mission in Ethiopia's war-hit northern Tigray region has found evidence that the country's army was responsible for the killings of 4 years ago. MSF reporting claims that Ethiopian troops were present at the scene of the killing of the 3 Spanish nationals and 2 Egyptians. They were executed. MSF Spain's General Director Riku Ayori told the BBC. The BBC has asked the Egyptian government for a response to the allegation. Well, on that note, that's how we'll come to the end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. Solidarity and Trust for a New Day and several civil society organizations commence activities of much publicized Enough is Enough protest, warn police of brutality against protesters. Government of Liberia launches 2026 budget preparation process for enhanced coordination and adherence. Finance Minister Augustine Gafuan says fiscal year 2026 draft budget will be submitted to the National Legislature before the end of October. We also heard in the news group of senior citizens voices of the elders called Liberians to promote patriotism and maintain peace and tranquility ahead of July 17th protest. Away from home, Nigeria's former President Muhammadu Buhari has been buried at his home in northern Nigeria 2 days after his death at the age of 82 at a clinic in London. And an investigation by medical charity Medicine Sans Frontiers into the execution of 3 of its workers during a humanitarian mission in Ethiopia's war-hit northern Tigray region has found evidence that the country's army was responsible for the killings 4 years ago. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. Stevie Conton brought you the news bulletin. Sam Andrews sat at control and handled the technical aspect of this edition. On behalf of the team, I'm Sherman Blair. I present you. Thanks for listening and watching.